There's something about feeling confined that sets you searching for ways to assert your own autonomy, to break through those shoulds and have-tos and supposed-tos. It doesn't really even matter what it is. You just find a thing to rebel against and you grab onto it. Anything to give a middle finger to the powers that be and take back a sense of power for yourself. And that's definitely what happened to me in the past week. So this is going to sound like a non sequitur, but stay with me. Let's talk about the word The received wisdom in the public speaking world is that saying is bad, and if you do it, you're a bad speaker. It's pejoratively called a filler word, along with words like so and like and you know. A lot of public speaking programs will tell you two things. The first is how often you say and the second is that you have to stop. And I think this approach honestly is singularly unhelpful. So let's rebel against the counter. There are people who will say, is annoying. They'll say, it makes it sound like you don't know what you're talking about. But the thing about what people say is that it's all based on stories, on cultural narratives that tell us what to think and how to feel. And the thing about stories is that some of them are fictional. And sometimes science tells a different story, and that's what happens with This word and others like it is what's known as a disfluency, a word that's inserted into the ordinary flow of a sentence. We add it in when we're thinking about what comes next. So for example, in front of new information, or in front of a word that's less commonly used, where you want to emphasize something or where you feel like you're going to be met with disagreement. And researchers have found that we actually retain information better when it immediately follows a disfluency. That's possibly because it gives us a pause and a cue that we're about to get unfamiliar information, which primes us to listen more carefully. In conversation, disfluencies signal to other people that you're not done speaking, which allows you to hold the floor without being interrupted. It's a habit that we learn as part of our language absorption, and like any habit, it's only a problem if it's so excessive that it gets distracting or gets in the way of comprehension. So we can appreciate and everything that it does for us. But it is worth recognizing that, there are judgy people out there. And there are also less judgy people who might nonetheless read your ums as a sign that you don't know your stuff or that you're being less than honest. And again, excessive disfluencies can prevent people from understanding you or getting the most out of what you say. So it's helpful to be able to make a different choice. But the way to achieve that is not to fixate on your ums, because when you do that, you're thinking about them even more, and you're probably going to do it even more often. So you've got to find alternatives and focus on building those. Counting ums on its own isn't helpful because it encourages you to fixate, and it doesn't give you useful information about what causes you to use disfluencies. You might have 25 ums in a 10-minute speech, and 15 of them are focused in one paragraph. A more useful approach would be to figure out when you say why you say it, and how you can make a different choice. That means you've got to do some fact-finding. Maybe listen to recordings of yourself speaking, I know, or get feedback from a friend, a colleague, or a speaking coach. You want to pay attention to where disfluencies happen. Maybe it's at the beginning when you're still getting into the groove. Maybe it's during transitions from one topic to another when you're trying to figure out what comes next. Maybe it's when you're talking about especially technical or sensitive information. But pinpointing where it happens will show you where to focus your efforts. And you want to ask yourself why it's happening. Maybe it's because you haven't fully prepared and you're not sure of what you want to say or how you want to say it. Or you're nervous because your audience includes someone you really look up to and you want to make sure you really get it right. Sometimes when I work with people who are speaking in their second language, the ums happen when they're using less familiar vocabulary or where the word order is different in their target language versus the one they grew up with. And so they use because they're doing that extra mental load of translating as they go. And again, all of this information will help you target your preparation and practice. As you grow in your familiarity and confidence with your content, you will find that your disfluencies naturally decrease without you having to obsess over them. And as you grow in your speaking skills, you will learn new habits that substitute for disfluencies. Things like intentional breathing, gestures, and movement that can serve the same purpose as those disfluencies without attracting the judgment. These things won't happen overnight. They are habits that you build through consistent, strategic, and targeted practice. And your speaking will become more effective not because you've gotten the bad things trained out of you, but because you have the awareness and tools to make the best choice for you in any given moment, whether it's to use an or not to. So take back your power and reclaim If you are ready to become a more powerful speaker on your own terms and to build habits that will put you in control of your self-expression, get in touch with me using the link below. Wherever you're starting from, I've got courses and coaching solutions that will get you where you want to be.